Hello, I'm Mies Kloos. I am from the Netherlands and I'm teaching German New Medicine, or GNM, or as I prefer to call it, the biological laws of nature, since 2009. I heard about the work of Dr. Hamer in 2005. In 2009, I started the first study group because I wanted to learn it myself. During that time, I had already seen that it is not a therapy. It's not a healing method or a way to heal. It is an explanatory model. It explains why one gets sick at that specific moment. It explains the cause, and it explains the course of biological programs, and diseases are a part of it. It explains that you can get better, but it also explains that you get worse, that you get a chronic disease, or that you die. So knowing the biological laws of nature does not mean that you get better. Absolutely not. I've seen far too many people die who knew the biological laws and try to live by them. And everything has to do with mindset. So the name German New Medicine, I think, is misleading. And that's one of the reasons why I don't use it anymore. So I teach the biological laws. It's neutral and it's a concept, it's a way of thinking. When doing the study group, I also realized that there's an overall way of thinking. Most people explain all the individual biological programs, but I saw that there's an overall way of thinking that applies to all those programs. It simplifies things, and it ultimately showed me what you can do. And that is healing through feeling right now. In 2011, I did my first workshop, and I developed a workshop based on the way of on this overall way of thinking. I didn't know it back then, but that way of thinking is explained by the hammer compass. The hammer compass for me is everything. The hammer compass explains what happens in your body, in your way of thinking, in your emotions, and also the situations that you're in the different phases of the hammer compass. And you can work with that. It explains what you can do in which phase. So that is also a continuous aspect of the workshops. The overall way of thinking, the hammer compass, and what you can do. So that started also in 2009, when in one of my first study groups, a therapist, well, she stopped following the study group, and she asked me, Mies, German New Medicine, GNM, it's very interesting, but what do you do with it? Back then I didn't have an answer. Now I do. And everything is explained, and I deducted everything from the hammer compass. So let's dive into the hammer compass and what that means. So this is the hammer compass, the graph or schedule that Dr. Hamer explained all biological laws with. And here the first part, this is a normal day and night rhythm. In the day we have some activities and stress, and in the night we rest, we sleep, and we recover from the stress of the day. Then there's a shocking situation, a situation that we cannot handle, and we think from, oh my God. And that makes a biological program start. Then the body goes into the fight-flight mode. It associates your emotion with a certain situation in nature. And it enters the fight-flight mode in order to survive. Yeah, so the body helps you to survive. It associates your emotion with a situation in nature. Of course, we are not living in nature anymore, but the body is still this mammal body that reacts accordingly. So the body helps you to survive, and you have tension. We, as humans, we think about the situation constantly. We need to resolve it, we need to find a solution for it, so we are preoccupied and think about the situation. Dr. Hamer called that the conflict active phase. Then the situation stops. The problem has resolved, it's finished, and you give a sigh of relief. Dr. Hamer has called that the conflict to Lise. Lise is resolution, so this is the conflict resolution. So the body took precautions in order to survive in nature. So it literally changes. And now those changes are not necessary anymore. So after the sigh of relief, we relax. The tension goes out of the muscles, and now we get symptoms. We become ill. There's also edema, we get swellings, and we start feeling. We feel the symptoms of the illness. And in fact, what happens is that the body recovers from its efforts to help you survive. So the measurements that the body took to do that are eliminated or are neutralized. And you feel it because everything in the universe is about consciousness. So the symptoms tell us the way the body changed, and that way goes back to the theme or the situation in nature that the body associated your emotions with. So here, often alternative medicine and therapists say that it's a message from the body. It is a message from the body. But while it gives this message, it also heals. The body recovers. So illnesses are, in fact, healing phases. Yeah, Dr. Hamer called it the post-conflicto-Lise. Post is after, conflict we know, Lise is resolution. So this is after the conflict resolution, a phase, or the healing phase. The measurement the body took are being neutralized, and microbes help with that. Well, this phase, there's always edema in this phase, and when the edema is not necessary anymore, there's an expulsion of the edema. For our mind, we relive the situation. This is again a thinking phase, but we can also dream about this situation. So it comes back into our mind, and Dr. Hamer has called that the epileptic or the epileptoid crisis. So I call it short, the crisis. It's not really a crisis, it's just the expulsion of edema. And this phase is the end of the program. After it, it's just the body starts cleaning, tidying, the symptoms disappear, and Dr. Hamer has called that the after the conflict resolution phase B, or the second healing phase. Here we really get better and nothing shocking is happening there anymore. So the crisis, when the edema is expelled, that is the last phase of the whole program. Well, we have been made afraid of diseases because we think that when we get sick, something goes wrong. No, something goes right. And the crisis, we've also been made really afraid of the crisis. For example, there can be blood in your stool. The blood comes with the edema that's pressed out. You don't feel it. it's not really painful or whatever, but we get the shock of our life. And there's another shocking situation. We have blood in our stool. So by this fear of symptoms, fear of the healing phase, fear of the crisis, we create a new shocking situation. And that's why we stay in these programs. We hang. Now, after the second healing phase, we go into the normal day-night rhythm, and it is finished. So this is an explanatory model of diseases, where they occur, how they run, what has preceded them, and that you can heal. But it's not a certainty that you will heal. That depends on the mindset. If you get afraid of symptoms, you have another shocking situation. If you get really afraid of the crisis, you get another shocking situation. And that's why we constantly create these diseases ourselves by our fear. Now, if you look at this hammer compass, you see that this phase is the tension phase and also this thinking phase. The body tenses and we think. So if you think, check your body, there's often tension. You're in the fight-flight mode. This phase, the situation is gone, you have given the sigh of relief, and this is the relaxation phase. Whoa. The body relaxes, the tension leaves the muscles. There's no need to fight or fly or flee anymore. Here we get symptoms. We start to feel. So this is the relaxation phase and the feeling phase. What does that imply? And that is something you can always do. It implies that when there is a shocking situation or when you're afraid of something, you need to feel what it means to you, go inside, feel the sensations of the body inside, and relax, become limp. So whenever there's a fear, whenever there's a pain, feel the pain, really consciously go to the pain, feel it, feel all its sensations, and become limp. That what you do then is move this phase forward, and whatever the body does to survive here, neutralize it right there and then, emotionally, energetically. If we are afraid of the symptoms, feel the symptoms. Also, the body itself is afraid of the symptoms. The body wants to create comfort. Symptoms are not comfortable. So whenever there's a symptom, feel the symptoms, feel all its sensations, and become limp. By becoming limp, you tell the body, get out of the fight-flight mode. It's not necessary. We're safe. And it's part of a healing phase. It's okay. Do your job. Relax. Then you stop hindering the healing. Yeah, you get the fear for the healing out of your body, and your body can really heal fast. It goes a lot faster. Same with a crisis. Feel the fear of the crisis. If there's some pain, sometimes there's a stabbing pain or something, feel the pain and become limp. You get the fear from under it, and you can go really fast through a crisis. So what this means is that the hammer compass also tells you what to do. It explains the biological program. It explains that Every biological program has a healing phase, a crisis, and in principle, you can go through it and you can get better. But when there's a shocking situation again, a fearful situation, you can start a new biological program will start. If you're afraid of the healing phase, a new biological program will start. If you're afraid of the crisis, a new biological program will start. And that explains why diseases become chronic every time something is triggered, become worse, because fear makes it all worse. The physical manifestation of fear is pain. If you're afraid of pain, the pain becomes worse. Also, that is explained within a certain biological program. It's too far to go into that right now, but the pain gets worse when you're afraid of it. So if you feel it, accept it so that it can stay for you to look at, to discover it, to research it, to feel it and become limp, you will experience that the pain becomes less, it becomes more bearable, if it's really unbearable, and it can even stop. And you start going a lot faster through this program. Well, the crisis is, well, the most fears are about the crisis, but the crisis is the end of the program. It's a short period. It can be painful. Cramps are in the crisis. Stabbing pains can be in crises. It can be really painful, but relax. Don't feed the pain with fear, because if you feed the pain with fear, the pain becomes worse. So these are the implications of the hammer compass. It doesn't matter which program you're in, this applies always. And that is the overall way of thinking. If you know what happens in the active phase, if you know what happens in the healing phase, if you know what happens in the crisis, and you're in one of those phases, you know what the body is doing and why. And there you can, all those individual biological programs, so which symptoms occur with which program, you can look up. There are many websites with detailed information. Only this overall way of thinking, that is explained nowhere. That is what I do. And the healing through feeling, feeling your symptoms, you go faster through this program, you heal faster. So healing through feeling is a result of studying this overall way of thinking and the hammer compass. Okay, thank you very much for listening to this short introduction of spyology, or the implications of the hammer compass, and maybe I'll see you in one of my workshops. So in order to work with the hammer compass and the implications that we just saw, there are two things necessary. First, you need to be able to feel, and often feeling is made very difficult. It is just the sensations in your body, and it's not a higher science. Some people ask me, how do you feel? This and this person, if she hugs a tree, she can feel the energy of the tree. I don't feel that. No, it's not about that. Everybody can feel. If you touch your skin, you stroke yourself on your arm or so, you feel that. It's that what you need to feel. So I teach that in individual talks, individual sessions, and it's also a workshop that I teach. Then you do it in a group. Also, the implications of the hammer compass are explained, and we start practicing. And then you learn how it works. You practice how it works, either with yourself or with somebody else. We can also resonate with somebody else. So if I work with somebody else, everybody can participate. So that is the Healing Through Feeling workshop. And the other thing you need to know is a basic knowledge of the biological laws. If you are unable to analyze a hammer compass, if you are not able to determine the theme, which tells you what program runs, and the phase where you are in the program, and what that implies, yeah, how can you ever reduce the fear of the body? Fear is in the body. It's not between your ears or in the mind. It's the body that has experienced a very shocking situation, a dangerous situation, a deathly situation, and the body wants to avoid it. The body generates fear for you to avoid that situation. And the body goes on doing that, even if this situation can never happen again anymore. And that is what you need to tell the body by feeling it. But if there are symptoms, you need to be able to determine which program runs, what happens in which phase, and what that means. So very scary diagnosis can occur in the crisis, which is the end of the program. If you have passed the crisis, then no big things are happening anymore. But you can also get diagnosis at the end of a program, because a program can leave residues. For example, when you go to for a checkup for your breasts, little mineral particles can show up in the scans, and that is diagnosed as an early stage of an invasive and aggressive cancer. If you know this hammer compass, you know it's the end of a program. There has been a program before, but it has finished. You need to know also what happens in the different phases in programs. You don't have to know that by heart, but you need to be able to look it up. So on my website, you can find theme and phase. It's the essence of the program. And you can read how the program runs, what happens in the active phase, what happens in the healing phase, what happens in the crisis, and what will be the residue at the end of a program. Some programs generate a new organ, like, for example, kidney cancer. It's a new kidney that you are creating. That tumor, between brackets, is not going away. It's a functional new tissue. And if you treat it with the objective or the purpose of getting rid of the tumor, it will not work. You can also try to prevent the sun from coming up or the tide not coming in. It's not going to happen. So you need to know the basics of these programs. And for that, you need to know the knowledge of the basic workshop, Trust Your Body. That's the beginning. The knowledge is necessary to really work with this. If you only feel through things and you don't know why you don't need to be afraid, then at some point you don't get any further. So the two of them, you need to be able to feel, you need to know what to feel, why to feel it, how to feel it, which aspects to feel it, but also come out of the knowledge. And you need to be able to analyze the hammer compass, determine what program is running, which theme, what phase you're in, and what it means, that phase, and why you can let go of the fear. Why there's nothing wrong with the symptoms here, or the symptoms there, or the symptoms there, or the symptoms there. So that is very important. Okay, thanks for listening again also to this part, and I hope to see you in one of my workshops. Bye-bye.